Thank you for allowing me to do the technical setup. You're welcome to start the meeting.
Thanks, Christy. So the January 17th, 2022 meeting of the Chagrin Falls Planning and Zoning Commission will be called to order. We're back to Zoom, and we have a full board here, which is nice. We have a new member to introduce. Rob, is that
Yes.
thing on the agenda?
Yes, Roger Kahn is joining the board. I was appointed by Mayor Tomko at the last council meeting and has taken his oath of office and ready to go. So I would like to welcome
Meet you all.
You want to introduce yourself and let everybody know a little bit about you?
Sure. I'm Roger Kahn. I'm a 20-year resident of Chagrin Falls, live on Hickory Hill with my wife, Sue. I just recently retired actually the end of this past year. I was the CFO at a company called Mainsail. We are an IT consulting company doing the bulk of our work for Department of Defense as a federal defense contractor doing IT work. So my background again is in finance. I've been in manufacturing, distribution, and of late the service industries. And hopefully I can add some value to this committee. And I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thanks for donating your time.
And Roger, I've got a copy of the code for you here at Village Hall. Whenever you are able to stop by Village Hall, let me know and I'll have it for you at the front desk downstairs.
And what is that now? You have a copy of what?
It's the Village Planning and Zoning Code.
Oh,
It's all
code,
the
okay.
different, yeah,
Sure.
code sections that we reference and that we discuss at the meetings and we apply to different projects. You can also find it online. I sent you an email today that has all that spelled out, as well as a link to our website with the code sections also.
So I can pick that up then.
Yes, at Village Hall, down the clerk's office. I'll leave your name on it and leave it at the front desk.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, great. And then the next thing we need to do, having it be the first meeting of the year, is to elect a chairperson and secretary for the commission.
Okay.
So-
So I'd like to make a motion to nominate Patty Baker as chair of the committee.
I second.
Are there
Are
any
there
other
any-
nominations? Okay, I guess no other nominations. So Rob, if you wanted to do a
Take the roll. All right, Baker,
abstain.
Khan.
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Hicks,
Can I thumbs up?
Okay, and Rogoff.
Aye.
All right.
And we also need a secretary.
I move to nominate Wendy Davis as secretary of the commission.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other nominations? All right. Well, the nominations, I'll take the roll. Khan,
Aye.
Davis,
Abstain.
Hicks, Rogoff,
Aye.
and Baker.
Aye.
Thank you, Patty and Wendy.
Yes, thank you much.
Okay. And let's see, so we just had one thing on our agenda for tonight that we've talked about a little bit in the past, but thought we'd bring it back tonight and try to get move forward with
I think you lost Patty.
Yeah, I haven't. Patty still here, or did she fade out?
She's still online, but it looks as though her camera may have been disabled. I'm not sure if she has having internet problems.
Yeah.
Do you want me to text her?
Yeah,
That'd be,
if you could, that would be helpful.
oh, it looks like she fell off completely. Maybe she'll try to reconnect.
Rob,
Yeah,
maybe you might offer a little bit of background on this. I know we
Sure.
started working on it maybe at least 6 months ago.
yes.
And it's been on and off, and then we missed a lot of meetings. So maybe, for the benefit of the new member and for all our recollections of where we stood on it.
Sure. So section 1111 covers the application for appeals and variances and how the decisions can be appealed, and action by the Board of Zoning Appeals in reviewing decisions that are rendered by other village boards and administrative decisions. One example would be the Architecture Review Board. Someone wanted to appeal that board, they would come to the Board of Zoning Appeals. And then if someone wanted to appeal the decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals, there's a process in which council could request to hear that decision and render a decision on that. So we've had several appeals in the last few years, and it was suggested by Dale Markowitz, our village law director, that we consider updating and amending our language in section 1111 to better clarify the role in the Board of Zoning Appeals when hearing an appeal application. It's a different process, a different set of standards than a normal variance would be, a zoning variance to a proposed project on which there's a set of Duncan factors that they need to be reviewed and discussed in reviewing a variance. Those do not apply to an appeal, and there's some process involved with that. So about 6 months ago, we started the review process. Dale started doing a review and some recommendations. Nancy Rogoff here on the commission worked quite a bit on this as well as Harry and I in reviewing language and ideas and going back and forth. We did have, I think it was back in the September meeting, we did have an initial discussion and review of the code section and some changes. And then we made some notes to take back to the law director. Since then, we've had a lot of things happen. Some members changed, some people couldn't make it to meetings, so meetings were canceled. So the purpose tonight, I believe, would be to review this, kind of do an overview, bring our new members up to speed with what's going on, and then kind of seeing what items we have to work on for the next meeting. As I said right before we started recording the meeting, late in the day, I received a comment from Dale of an additional sentence to add in the section 111107, which we can discuss later, and I'll email out to the board tomorrow that we can talk about for a future meeting. So I don't know, Patty, if we wanted to start at the beginning, and Nancy, if you want to jump in as we go through this. And
So you said 111107, because that's not part of anything that we have.
I
right
know
now.
it'll be something, it's something
Okay.
new. It's still in chapter 1111, but it
Okay.
is something new and additional. I'm just going to mention it so everyone's aware of it. So when I send the email out, you'll be aware of what it refers to.
Okay.
So that's the section on reasons for granting variances
Yes.
that BZA has. So it's not really relevant to council review, but
No.
it's okay. Okay.
But I guess it's part of chapter 111, right?
Yes,
11, yeah, okay.
yeah, part of 1111, and it'd be nice to include it and do one revision at one time to anything in that chapter.
I agree with that. Yeah, we need to do it all at once.
So did everybody get, there was an email last week from Rob containing the latest version of the code sections we're talking about. And in all of this, I mean, it's probably obvious to you, but there'll be strike throughs and then underlined language. That the underlined language is new language that's being proposed. So I don't know if we want to start at the beginning. I think last time nobody really had an issue with 111103, which was there's just one change in the first paragraph there, that instead of saying after an action has been taken by a board or a commission, it says that after a vote has been taken at a public meeting by a board or commission. And Nancy, that was to just clarify what a formal action is, I guess, by a commission or board, is that it has to be a vote at a public meeting.
Right, and yeah, it just makes it more specific and clear.
Does anybody have any issue with that or feel like it doesn't address the problem? I don't have any problem with it. I don't think it changes anything materially. So I think we can just move on from that. And then in 111106, so same thing, I guess. You wanted to have a time, we wanted to have a time frame for when the clock starts ticking, for there's a time frame for appeals to be brought. So language was added that immediately upon BZA making any final reviewable decision, the secretary shall notify the clerk of council of that action and notify each member.
Yeah, I have a note here. I think it might have been Matt who suggested it, that immediately, to make the word immediately more specific,
Right.
exactly what does immediately mean?
Yeah, because like I think we were saying that like a BZA meeting could end at, whatever time of day, and are you expecting that the secretary of the BZA will, within an hour, or within a day, within,
Well, I had a note here with a question mark to consider something like within 48 hours.
Well, I don't know that that's really immediate, maybe more like 24 hours. Immediately, to me, is faster than 48,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think that's what the intent was, to put something specific in there.
Or with one business day.
Yeah, I don't know, that's kind of vague too.
Yeah, when does the business day start and stop for some people? I don't know. What's the problem with 24 hours? Is 24 hours?
Nothing. I've always been able to meet that standard in all the notices that I've given council after BZA.
I guess that's all right, and maybe Dale, because we haven't asked him to review our comments, maybe he would have, think that 24, 48, one would be better than the other, but it probably should be something like that.
Okay, well, maybe we'll propose within 24 hours and see what he says.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any objections to that, or? Okay. And then I also had a note that the way it happens right now, it's not the secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals notifying anybody, it's Rob. So we were talking about maybe changing this wording to
Not changing it, adding,
what happened.
adding, Patty. At least that's what my notes show.
Adding where?
Adding the CAO to that, not taking away, because the secretary of the board technically is the one who would notify. She's the secretary of the board is the one who does the notifying. And we were just adding the CAO to notify in writing to the clerk of council
And the
and
CA.
the CAO. At that point, yeah, at that.
And or,
That's fine with me. I misunderstood. I thought it was, I didn't know the secretary of the BZA did that function.
Well, I don't know that they do, but that's what I'm pretty sure that the charter says that that's what they do. So.
that's what the code says. That's what the code says in there.
Yeah.
I've always done it, and I know Ben did it prior to me.
Should we say the secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals or?
No,
the
I
chief administrative
don't, I
Okay,
don't think so. I mean, I think there's a technical reason for that.
okay. I was just trying to make it fit with what we actually do, but that's fine. So we'd have it as written, shall notify in writing the clerk of council and the CAO
Right.
of such action. And notify each member of council using the email address they've provided, blah, blah, blah. Any other comments on this section 111106A?
I just want to be clear that the adding in the CAO part would go after the after media, or after the BZA making any final renewable decision, the secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals and or whatever the CAO shall notify in writing the clerk of council of such action and each member of council.
I thought we were saying that it would be the secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals shall notify in writing the clerk of council and the chief administrative officer.
Right. Right.
That really doesn't make sense.
With the way it works.
Yeah, because the secretary, I mean, I take the record, I take the vote on all the decisions that are made at those meetings. And then at the conclusion of that meeting or the next day, I read the email to all of council to notify them of the decision and
Right.
as well as the clerk of council if needed. I make him aware of it.
Well, I mean, I think we should have this written the way that what you're actually doing, because otherwise what you're doing is against what our code
Yeah.
says. So maybe we, see if Dale has a problem with it, if it's prohibited by the charter. We'll have to revise the way things are done, DA. Is that okay, Nancy?
I guess so. I mean, I wouldn't change it all that much. I mean, the clerk of council has certain responsibilities. Rob does this, but and I think, I don't know, I'd have to look at.
Well, I do notify the clerk of council of those decisions.
Right, but I think there's some technical reason why the secretary of the Board of Appeals it does the notifying. I mean, I could be wrong, but I wouldn't take that out without checking. I think there's some technical reason.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're talking
I
about.
know that you're there and that you do that, and it's the same thing, with council is the same thing, but I still think there's a technical reason for having that in there. And without looking, I can't say for sure,
Sure.
because I'm not looking at the charter right now. I mean, if I'm wrong, that's fine, we can take it all out.
I don't think Rob's saying take it out, but just add
Oh,
that the secretary and or the chief administrative officer will notify.
Whatever.
yeah, I'm free to that, whatever Nancy and Dale want to do once they clarify the point. That's fine.
Okay. Well, that's Dale. And then in 11-1106B, it's the same thing where the village administrator was not
Was not mentioned previous.
right. And since you're the one that actually provides notice usually, I'd say, we had added the village administrator into
And we can standardize that language to read
right.
chief administrative officer anytime the position's mentioned. So it's the same terminology.
Mhm. Okay, so this is B is saying where three members of council can can bring into question a decision of BZA. And that's going to be within 15 days. So, and again, nothing material changing here, just bringing in the language for the village administrator to provide the notice. And then there was a typo, Rob, that's still here in
Okay.
11-1106E, the last line, impar, I think Judy maybe, or I can't remember who brought this up, maybe.
Yeah,
Should be impair
impair, yes.
instead of impar.
Yep, I've got that noted and I will address that.
And I actually have this last sentence from but is underlined in the last version I have. It's in red and underlined, and it's not here. I don't know why, but I think that should be marked as new language.
Is it what is still in section E? Is that what I have highlighted on the screen in gray?
Oh yeah, yours is showing red. Maybe it's a problem with my printer. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, my version does not have that underlined or red, actually. So, but that would be new language, I guess.
Mhm.
Anybody have any issue with anything in 11-1106? No. Okay, and I guess we'll hold off on 11-1107. Rob, you're going to send that?
Yes, yeah, I'll mention it at the end just for everyone's awareness. Once we're done talking about everything.
And then in 11-1110, this is when council is reviewing, when 3 members of council goes to review a decision of BZA. That's covered by this section. And I guess before there was nothing about how many members of council had to be present, and is that right, Nancy? That was there
Right,
were
it
some
didn't define
situations
that.
where, yeah.
So this section is added, and it's the same language that's in the part about BZA, where it talks about how many members have to be there and how many members constitute a quorum. We just used that same language and applied it to council and added this section. How many council members have to be present and how many constitute a quorum.
I mean, isn't that the case for any council, any council action that you have to have 4 to be a quorum?
I believe so. I'll have to double check that.
Right, but how many have,
I mean, I'm fine having it spelled out. It just seems odd. It seems like for anything, you need to have a quorum and you have to have a majority vote. But if there was some reason to spell it out for this section.
Yeah, but it's either a majority of the quorum or a majority of the entire council, regardless of how many people are there. And for
Oh, I see what you're saying.
BZA, it's a majority of all 5 members, even if only 3, which is a quorum, are there. So if only 3 members are present, all 3 members have to approve or deny the variance for it to be either approved or denied. You can't have a majority of the people that are there.
Okay.
Okay, and so that's the reason for this.
Did anybody have any issue with the way this is written, section D? Which I understand what you're saying here, Nancy, saying you have to have 4 members present and you have to have 4 affirmative votes to
have the action effective, right? Right.
Yeah, and I think that is, so you're saying that's the same as a BZA.
Yes, but different numbers. I mean, BZA is 5 and council is 7, so the numbers are different, but the language is the same. So that's why sometimes at BZA, people move their project to the next meeting. If only 3 members are present, they don't want to take a chance of having to convince all 3 of them. They have no leeway that way. So, and this is supposed to accomplish the same purpose with council.
Okay.
So.
Can people move their issue to another council meeting if there's not going to be a full?
I don't know, not sure. Didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I know that in the case of a BZA hearing, if we don't have enough people, say if we only have 3 BZA members that can attend and no alternates can fill in, we do make the applicant aware that they need to have all 3 in agreement for the variance to be granted, and we give them the option of deciding withhold or not with their variance request and postpone to the next meeting. Even if 1 member's missing, we still let them know, the status and whether they
Would that same thing be put into play if you have reviewing the BZA decision and you're only going to have 4 council members present or something like that? Would you?
Yeah, I'm sure we would tell the applicant. Yeah.
Yeah, we would inform them as soon as we knew about it. So if we knew prior to the meeting, we'd let them know and
Yeah.
ask if they wanted to continue their appeal to another night at a different hearing date, or whether they wanted to proceed or not.
Okay. Does anybody have any question or issue with or suggestions for 11.11.10? Okay. All right, and then I actually, you know what, I had one more thing. It was 11.11.10H. And it says the applicant or any interested party who was harmed by action of council may appeal pursuant to Ohio Revised Code. So I wondered if it should say the applicant or any interested party who believes they were harmed.
No, they have to actually be harmed. They can't believe that they're harmed.
But like, how do you prove that?
How do you prove they're harmed?
Yeah, until it's gone through the whole legal process, like.
I think they need to claim that they were somehow damaged or denied their right to, say, build a project, for example. If it was denied by ARB, they appealed it to BZA, BZA denied it. They had council review it, council agreed with the other boards and denied it. They'd have to, their case would have to center on the fact, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but they would have to prove and make their statement that they, the other boards erred in their application of our code and the law. And I guess that's how they would claim they're armed. I mean, I could ask.
This might be a Dale issue.
Yeah, it does.
Anybody could say,
Yeah.
I was harmed I didn't like this decision or that decision. It harmed me in this way or that way, and
You have to show
whether that's
harm,
gonna float.
Patty. You can't think you were harmed. I believe I was harmed. You have to actually show harm. how you
Right,
were-
but isn't that what the appeal would be about? Would be showing that you were harmed?
Well, that's what you have to show it. You can't believe it. I mean, I could believe something and not be able to prove it. I just said, oh, I believe I was harmed, but I wasn't, or at least legally I wasn't, and couldn't prove that I was. So it isn't a belief thing. It's actual harm.
Well, anybody can appeal, right?
No, not really.
If you're willing to pay for a lawyer and go through it, right?
No, you have to. You're taxing. You're taxing. I think for one thing, you have to have been at the meeting. You have to have attended the meeting, I think. Whatever the meeting is, you have to have attended the meeting
Mhm.
to be able to show harm. I definitely would not put belief in there. It's not, I don't think it's a word that we use in code.
So after we make some revisions and get some issues questioned that we talked or answered that we talk about tonight, I can invite Dale to an upcoming P and Z meeting to answer any of these final questions if you all like, and as we finalize the draft.
Yeah, I think it's a relatively small, it shouldn't be a huge amount of time and effort to go over this. It's not a lot, I wouldn't say. Like the vast majority of it, I think we're fine with. So 11-1101 intent.
Wait, 1 second. How are we leaving that one with that he was harmed?
Well, I mean, I guess we'd ask L. You mean about 11-1106H?
Yes,
Whether you were
yes.
believed you were harmed or you were harmed. Yeah.
You could just email him.
I guess I would say we have to ask Dale. Mhm. Just because I feel like it's a high standard to say that you have to be harmed by action of counsel to appeal. Like, who's to say you were harmed or you weren't? It's,
Eddie,
you want to appeal because you feel you were harmed, then
I think it's a legal standard and that's what it is.
I'll send Dale an email and I'll let everybody know the response on that.
That's good.
Patty, are you still there? Looks like you're frozen on the screen. I think she might be rebooting. See if. Patty,
sorry,
you there?
my internet keeps having issues. Sorry.
No problem.
Did you guys move on? Are we okay to move on? I gotta move. I'll try. Hold on. Uh, I'm trying a different space.
Okay.
Let's see if this works better. So 11-1101, the intent section. Again, it didn't show on my printout, but I guess this is not all new though, right, Rob?
Yes,
The-
it is. The whole thing is new.
Yes,
Yeah, the whole thing is new, Patty. This was where we ended up the last time. Because I think that some of us felt that it wasn't very clear. That it kind of went around in circles and it wasn't
Yeah.
very clear. See, I mean, I see on Rob's version, it's all red.
Yeah, but in the code right now, we have everything except the yellow. In my book, the 2019,
The whole thing.
I don't know why it's all red. Maybe he just cut and pasted it into the document, but
yeah,
so the non-highlighted part, and though it's red, is in the book right now.
okay, I see that, yep,
You see that?
yes.
Okay.
So, hold on. Everything right here that I just highlighted appears to be what's in the existing code. And then Dale is suggesting we consider the yellow highlighted section to add to it.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time and just that it was kind of confusing and it seemed like the yellow part is talking about a bunch of different things, like Board of Zoning Appeals standards for variances, then their standards for appealing ARB decisions or P&Z decisions. And that it was just kind of confusing.
I thought of one idea might be to separate this in the intent section into several subsections that the Board of Zoning Appeals hears the following sorts of matters or something like that, and then break it down to first what we have existing regarding questions or disputes involving interpretation of the code. And then secondly, decisions of the P&Z. Let's see if we can break it down into something that might be a little easier to follow, perhaps, I don't know. I see, I had a note here from before as well that it was somewhat confusing.
Maybe have Dale chime in at the next meeting. He can explain it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we definitely need Dale to, I guess, say why all this language is necessary in the intent section, because it's sort of giving the standards that should be followed in these different scenarios here in the intent, which is, I'm not sure it's necessarily the right place for it. But if he thinks it is, that's fine. I think all of us last time felt it was pretty confusing because you're talking about all these different things in here. P&Z, BZA, ARB, the administrative decisions, all of those things. And it's saying that certain standards apply in one case. And it's not exactly clear if that means they don't apply in all the other cases. So yeah, I don't know if we can just request Dale to, try to write it in a more straightforward way. Or if that's our job.
If I can follow up with that, and I'm sure Nancy will as well.
Wendy, you were here for that meeting, weren't you, or no? You're muted, but no. We can't hear you, Wendy. No, it's okay. Matt, you were,
I'm sorry, I just, I had my own copy up so I could scroll through it, so I made my screen smaller. I do think it's a bit confusing and I guess BZA has to determine whether someone interpreted incorrectly and then review on it. I'm a bit confused by it.
Okay.
yeah, I can understand that if BZA decides a decision, that can be one of their reasons for a grant or for making a decision, is if they think the other board did not apply the code correctly. That
yeah.
makes sense to me that they're allowed to do that, use that as one of their reasons. I just felt like the way this is written, it's a whole gamish of different things in there, including that, and that it could be spelled out a little bit more clearly.
And my question is that a two-step process? Like you determine that the things were interpreted incorrectly and then you meet on the other items? I just,
How that works.
the logistics of it.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's actually in 111107, which is that section reasons for granting variances. Well, those are variances to the code. That's not an appeal to a decision of another board. So,
Is what's in yellow supposed to replace the beginning, the first
No, it's supposed to be additional.
additional?
Yeah,
Because it's a little bit redundant if you look at it there.
yeah.
Needs to be cleaned up.
yeah, I mean, before we just had that part, that's now highlighted in gray. So, in previous, in the past, that was always considered enough to say that that's the intent of this section that governs appeals and variances. So why Dale felt we needed to have additional language here, I guess is the question.
Well, the reason for it, I'm just looking at it again, the reason for it, and I still think it needs to be clarified. There's different standards of review depending on what BZA is reviewing. If there's a standard for an appeal, or there's a standard for a variance. They want a variance from a rule. They don't want to follow the rule. They want something different. There's a different standard for that than there is for a review of a planning and zoning decision or a review of an administrative decision. Like if Rob makes a decision that they don't like, or if architecture board makes a decision that a person doesn't like, that appeal is an appeal of a decision of a board. And it's a different standard. So that's why all this language is in here.
Well, I wonder if maybe we could just have different sections, because we have 111107, which says.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's it's confusing and
Because 111107 says reasons for granting variances. So that's just saying a variance to the planning and zoning code.
right, but we
But
don't.
what about the standards for an appeal of a decision of planning and zoning, or an appeal of a decision of ARB, or an administrative decision?
And maybe that's what Dale is changing. We don't know that.
We could probably, if it does have to stay in 111101, we could break it down to subsections.
Yeah,
By type of action, like Nancy mentioned, do it by, variances, by appeals to actions, of administration or other boards, however.
yeah, I think that would help a lot, because just having it in one big chunk of
Chunk, yeah.
text is really hard to navigate. So maybe if we could get Dale to do that before our next meeting, we could more easily discuss the content of, what these standards are. I don't think we're wanting to change any standards that are in play right now. It was just a matter of, spelling them out and having them be in the code. But we can look at it, once it's a little more readable, unless anybody wants to go through it right now. And Wendy, your one comment was kind of about the whether there had been a misinterpretation or the code had been applied incorrectly.
Right, so that's the different,
Mhm.
I mean, I guess that would have, they could be appealing on a number of different reasons.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you can weigh in on that. I mean, they could be appealing
Right,
because,
yeah, it's a different standard. That's right, Wendy, yeah.
And I mean, we have like a whole different section on like landscape, the standards for landscape and protective features and
Well, that-
for
yeah.
yards. So I don't see why we couldn't have a separate section for, the standards to be used when you have a BZA looking at a decision of P and Z or a decision of the administrator.
are you saying you wanted to create new, what, along with this, or just, I mean,
I wouldn't have all this yellow in 111101.
Yeah, that's a possibility too, yeah.
oh, I see.
To me, these are, the yellows part is talking about the standards that are being used by BZA to make these different types of decisions. 111101 is the intent, which to me, I think is kind of already there with what we have, just saying that they're the ones that decide whether decisions of other boards should be affirmed, reversed, or modified. And then the way the code is structured already, we have 111107, 08, and 09. Those all have kind of give guidance on the standards to be used in granting variances. So it seems we could also have, they're pretty short little sections, 1108 and 1108 and 09 are. You could have a short, statement about what if it's BZA looking at a decision of the administrator, what standards are used there? What if it's BZA looking at a P and Z decision, that sort of thing. But I mean, we can, maybe Dale, has a good reason for not doing that.
I think it would be clearer if it was split out or some breaks.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's subsections of 111101 where he has it and just like in subsections, A, B, whatever, or if it's someplace else in 1111.
Yeah, I just looked at 1107. It almost looks like that stuff all belongs there rather than here in the intent section.
Oh,
Oh,
So it looks
Okay.
like a good idea.
yep.
All right, so we'll make a converted, okay, go ahead, Wendy.
so what are we saying, that we wanted to send it back to Dale to review, and we don't know whether it should be split out or placed in 1107?
I think we just need to talk to him about it. I'm happy to do that, Rob, if you want, or Nancy or whoever feels
Sure.
comfortable doing that. I'm happy to do it. I think we, and maybe it's the way he wants it and can explain, but I think if all of us agree that it's kind of hard to understand and follow, then that's good reason to change it in some way.
So we're going to ask him to clarify the language and to either split it out, make subsections, or place it in another area to
Yeah.
make it clear.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see, just to, I think it'll be a lot more clear if it was not in a big paragraph.
Okay.
So that is all we have, unless, did anybody, Matt or Roger, did you guys have anything that you wanted to bring up about this?
Nothing for me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a, more intense. Sometimes we have a very tangible subject to talk about, like, should you be allowed to park a dump truck in your driveway or something like that in a residential neighborhood? But this is a little bit more about procedure. So, thanks for hanging in there, and hopefully we'll have a new version before our next meeting so that we can talk about it again.
So the one thing I mentioned earlier that I'll be
Oh.
sending an email to for consideration for the next meeting. I believe I changed the screen sharing to our code section on the screen. Under 111107A, it lists reasons for granting variances, and kind of the A section kind of sets the stage for it. Dale suggests that we add a section mentioning when the BZA is, let's see here. Let me see if I can highlight this to make it easier to explain. So it says, and I'll read this, reasons for granting variances as subsection A, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and in the case of a review of the Board of Zoning Appeals decision by council, may in specific cases vary, modify, or waive the application of certain provisions of this planning and zoning code after making findings of fact, setting forth the reasons therefore. Then Dale recommends we add a sentence at this point saying, with such conditions, the Board of Zoning Appeals or council believes is necessary to impose in granting a variance. So we've had situations where variances are granted, and the Board of Zoning Appeals has wanted to say, well, we'll grant this variance if you do these 1, 2, or 3 things. Usually it's just one thing that would rectify the situation in their mind. And then and it would conclude then with the existing language of, in order that the public health, safety, convenience, comfort, and general welfare may be safeguarded and substantial justice done. He felt that we should add a little more clarity into the fact that they can impose additional conditions on top of just what the code requires. So I'll explain that further, and we can talk about it further at the next meeting.
Yeah, the exact language that we used to do that, I think,
Yes.
is something we'll have to look at, but
So-
I think conditional things are seems like a good thing to have in place, so you can kind of compromise. Go ahead, Wendy.
I needed clarification. So is he saying that when you said they, so when BZA says we're approving this with these 3 conditions or 1 condition, then they can oppose, meaning the resident can oppose those additional conditions, or
Well, any decision can be appealed through the appeal
Okay.
process. It just, we don't want it to come under question on the board's ability to set additional conditions that are not specifically mentioned in the planning and zoning code.
so is this to strengthen the BZA?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there?
Right now they can't.
I think they can. This is just to
additional?
make it very clear that they can
Okay.
in writing.
I mean, I think that's, it's similar to how we've done a lot of things, like, with Brick House or whatever, we'll let you do this on the
Yeah.
condition that X, Y, and Z. So, okay, we'll wait and to see what new language he has there specifically.
Yep, I'll get that out to the board or to the commission this week.
Okay. All right. Anybody have anything else they want to bring? Okay. I guess, Rob, are we on President's Day next month? Sometimes that happens some years.
Yeah, let me look here. Yes, we are, and that is a village holiday, so we would need to reschedule that. We could either schedule for that same week, perhaps Tuesday or Wednesday. We could look at those dates, either 22nd or 23rd.
I wouldn't be available on Tuesday.
If we're doing Zoom, I'm always available, but if not, I will be out of town.
We are doing virtual meetings for the month of February per council's motion that
Anytime
was
is good
passed.
for me then.
So possibly Wednesday, what would it be? February 23rd, you said?
Yes, Wednesday, the 23rd.
I may be out of town, maybe.
But it'll be Zoom. So,
You might be busy out of town.
Oh.
Matt, would you be able to attend that day tentatively? All right, well,
we'll see.
I'm not sure what, I think it only gets more complicated if we try to move to another week. Right, Rob, because there's
Mhm.
Council on Mondays, right? The other Mondays?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll hope for the best for that and maybe tentatively set it for Wednesday, the 23rd by Zoom. And if you know you can't make it, if you can let us know as soon as you know, and then if we have too many absences, we can look at another date. So, okay, if there's nothing else, does anybody have anything to chime in with? No?
Would the Wednesday of that same, you're saying 17th is the holiday?
Yes, correct.
Oh, so it would be the
Would the 19th, would the
then it'd be
19th?
the 19th, Wednesday the
Oh,
19th.
wait a second. Oh, let me get to that. Hold on. So the 21st of February is President's Day, the holiday, Monday, the 21st.
Oh, okay.
So we're proposing to move it to the 23rd, Wednesday.
Yeah.
23rd.
Yeah, I may be out of town, but I'll let you.
Okay. All right, well then, if there's nothing else, we can be adjourned.
Do you want me, Patty, do you want me to have Christie reschedule that then for February?
We should, since we have, likely 5 members, but
Okay.
at least 4 that would be able to do it that day.
Okay.
Probably about as good as we're gonna get on any given day. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Have a good week. everyone.
Be in touch by email with hopefully some new language or newly organized language.
Yep.
Okay, bye-bye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.